I am not going to pass up an opportunity to talk about Blacksmith's talent again.
Fair. This was the end of my Bloomburrow drafting experience, and it ended
so
on such a high note.
momentous.
Such a high note.
Does it feel like you're saying goodbye?
It did. I got a little teary as I was playing these last games here. So here is the picture of the deck. It's a pretty standard Lizards deck until you get up to the 2 5-drops. Actually, I guess it's got the Valley Flame color too as a nice rare, but it's got the Dragonhawk mythic and it's got the Season mythic.
Beautiful.
So most times that I go up against a Lizards deck in this format, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to be dealing with a Fireglass Mentor. That's going to be my main problem, so I've got to make sure I don't get damaged. And often there will be a Blacksmith's Talent, which I do have here, but it basically gives me 2 entire game plans. One is the normal Blacksmith's Talent aggro game plan, but also if my opponent is anticipating that and playing in a way that's going to obviate that, I can just turn it into a control game, and eventually I'm going to draw one of these absurd rares and just overwhelm them, and they aren't going to expect that. And that turned out to be exactly
this
what
is your
happened.
Spanish Inquisition deck.
Yeah, it even has
And
all
it's
that red. Yeah. Uncharted Haven is something that did not intuitively seem smart to me, but I watch enough smart people, Paul Gian specifically, who keep saying, I like to cast my spells, so I play this card. So I said, okay. Paul Gian with his 80% win rate or whatever, I'm going to do what he does.
Maybe there's something to that.
When he explicitly tells me this is the right thing to do almost every time, I will do it. I guess there are few enough 1-drops that it rarely matters on your opening hand, and the upside of having good opening hand mana is tops the bad draws when you wanted to cast a 4-drop and you have to wait a turn. Oh, that Marstalker, it always hurts to trade with. Because you know it's just going to come back with... Actually, that didn't happen a lot of times, because blue-black played as rats, like heavy on the rats, just didn't happen much. Denied. But I guess I'm really happy to bait out all the denials and things like that with the Dragonhawk. Especially because I don't have any other creatures to bait them out with. I really want the Dragonhawk to land, and so I want them to trade off all their other spells before. I guess I'm really hoping if they tap out like that on a turn, I'm going to hit 5 mana instead of this, but it is what it is. But now I don't recall what I did here. I have the option to attack in and eat the Light Shell Duo, but okay. I don't recall if I was thinking, hey, if I do this, they're more likely to use their mana and their removal on one of these threats that's out here rather than saving it for my Dragonhawk. Because the Otter is, when I see it across the table, I do feel kind of a compulsion to take care of it. It does feel like it's its own clock. And if I don't do something to get rid of it, it's just going to kill me over a long game. So now I'm seeing they still have Dazzling Denial mana up, but they don't have Spellgyre mana up. But they can have the Nocturnal Hunger now, or a number of things. I don't recall if Dragonhawk's secondary effect, where it damages the opponent for unspent spells that are exiled with it, I don't recall if that goes off if the Dragonhawk's not there anymore. Like if it's a delayed trigger, or if it's...
I don't know.
We should see here in just a minute.
Now they've tapped out.
Yep. So at the least, I get 1 Dragonhawk turn. It only exiles as many cards as you have creatures power 4 or greater. But hey, that's just a free 2 damage for casting this thing. Worst case, they kill it right now. Let's see if they do. Is that the arena body language of seriously?
Maybe. That's just a long sigh.
Yeah, they can't do much against that. I mean, if they're attacking, what do I even... What do they have? Like, they don't have the mana for the skunk if I... Like, What are they punishing me for blocking? What can they do for a black and a blue? There's the black removal spell that you can forage for instead of paying a second black, but they could just do that. That doesn't have anything to do with blocking. So I think I'm just trying to slow the game down a little bit, because the only way I figure I lose at this point...
Oh.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to show you this game happens. In particular. Yep. So then I can either... Okay, I guess I decided to use that. I don't know why I didn't just settle for the exile. Maybe just wanted to thin out the deck some more?
Maybe.
Okay. I think there was definitely a consideration there of, do I hold up the Scales of Shale? Okay, so I didn't go for the extra damage one in this case. Does Dragonhawk's ability... I'm thinking, does his ability say your opponent takes damage for exiled spells, or only the ones that hit exiles? It's probably just the one that hit exiles. I definitely had a little concern about just dying on the spot right here. If they had been able to hit Threshold, that would have been 5 and 4. That would have been lethal. So maybe I shouldn't even attack the previous turn. I don't know. But here, each one of these is going to do 2 damage to something in addition to just killing something outright. So that's... Yeah, there's too many options. We want to keep the Scales of Shale up to protect the dragon. We can use the Scales of Shale to just gain a bunch of life and have cushion for the next turn. We can attack and then do the Gecko. Okay. Oh, okay. For a moment I was thinking, did I think the Gecko was going to give me the mana, but it hadn't taken damage yet? No, it's because that reduces the cost of the Scales of Shale, so I can still cast the Scales of Shale.
I see.
And then I can gain 7 life here while getting the opponent to 2. And then I have a buffer of life. I have 2 blockers, who I normally like to keep as offensive. Oh, that's
there
right. That was... Yeah, okay. So the Dragonhawk left that over, and that was it.
Lizard's getting it done.
So that was the coolest game.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the last game. All right. Now, would that make you happy as a starting hand?
Yeah.
Blacksmith's Talent.
Yeah.
Getting it done.
I love that card so much.
Yeah. The only question is, do we start on Uncharted Haven and be able to...
No, we go straight into Blacksmith's Talent.
I don't... That one I still think was a kind of a questionable decision, but...
I don't know if that's the right call, but I support it.
Now I think there's a decision, do we Steam Path Charger or... But yeah, so I guess maximize the mana situation the next turn. We know that if we attack... They're not going to play something that can't... Well, it's unlikely they'll be able to block a 2-1 without trading this coming turn. So I figure, okay, I'm damaging them next turn either by being unblocked or the trigger on death from the Steam Path Charger. Oh yeah, they're not going to want to block with one of those anyway. Then I think it's just a question, are we willing to spend our Scales of Shale to keep the Steam Path Charger alive? Because that could knock us kind of off the ramp out. But they didn't make us make that choice. Which was problematic. They didn't know.
You know, mistakes happen.
Yep. Alright, so I figured they're not going to be holding back with the 1-1, but I'd rather have this giving me 2 toughness and everything in case they play another one.
Sure.
Power creature. Like the Azure Beastbinder is a real consideration here, I guess. They could have made that necessary. Hate to lose someone, but happy to see that card gone. And now I guess I'm thinking, hey, I get a 4/3 this coming turn. And they've already spent that removal spell. But
could be worse.
Is that what we want to do, though, or do we want to get the Blacksmith's Talent rolling? Because if we get it to 2 now, we can get it to 3 next turn. But if they kill our creatures, then we are not making attacks anymore. So I think I wanted to make sure I had creatures to actually equip. And with the Scales of Shale still up, I can protect either of these and be pretty assured I'm going to be able to have someone equipped the following turn. I guess I'm hoping to draw land here so that I can both tick it up and equip. Well, no, but there's no value in double equipping. Doesn't really matter. It's nice that at least, though they have another blocker, it's going to just be a 1-1 on their turn when they're tapped out. Of course, with the Shoreline Looter ticking up toward Threshold, every game's on, I mean, literally every game of Magic's on a clock, but that one I feel acutely. Like, I need to get this under control before they start just drawing each turn instead of looting. So I'd like to have the land for that, but, you know, you do what you gotta do.
Yes.
So I presume I put this on the... Yeah, so I still got the Scales of Shale up to protect either of these. And that's 7. Are they going to take 7? No, they're not. And that's fine, too. Because the fear... I guess there's a couple fears against red-blue, which turned from being just the worst deck in the format to being a pretty strong contender later in the format, was you'd get something like that, so the Stormcatch Mentor, the 2/2 who grows, and they just get out of control, and they'd have enough bounce and counter magic to protect it, and like to shore up anything, and so they just wanted something big. There's also the Wildfire, but now both of my creatures are big enough to survive that, so they'd have to gift the treasure to even kill one. That feels good against it, is it? But it's also possible to get to 6 mana. They're bouncing both things with a... What is the Flood Guard as the Calamitous Tide? All right. Now here's a crucial decision. Do we try and play this Dragonhawk, which could just get counterspelled?
Into all that open mana?
Yeah. Or do we be slightly mana inefficient, tick up Blacksmith's Talent, because that also lets me leave Scales of Shale up. And bounce will mess with me this turn if they bounce something, but even if they bounce a creature, this is still now ticked up. I can keep the threats rolling. I'll be able to recast the thing. And so I think, arrived at the decision, even if it was more fun to do the Dragonhawk, this is the more... Yeah, and they had something which would have made it pretty bad, but... There we go. That's the game. Blacksmith's Talent and Lizards getting it done.
Getting it done. Lizards get it done.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna pass up an opportunity to say it. Hold on, we gotta retake. We gotta do a retake.